These fools out here trying to fake me.
Put me double cheddar whiskey. Somebody get that man a double cheddar whiskey.
Cheers to that.
Welcome
to another episode of Liberty Tree. Lindsay, I'm Yo, and we're out here delivering it to you.
So this morning we started out by working on some projects for the long weekend.
We hope you guys are having a great Labor Day weekend.
And after that, we had reserved a larger amount of time to learn how to YouTubes. Because, in the wise words of Wee Woo Woo Woo,
we will link at who this actually is, because he's not Wee Woo Woo Woo.
But he does a lot of
Wee
Woo Woo Woo. He does this so often that that's his name now, is Wee Woo Woo Woo.
His name is Jack Morgan.
It's not about that. Anyways, what he did is he did an intro video, and he's like sitting there in his fancy chairs. This is our fancy chair. And he's like, think this shit's easy? It's hard. Some hard shit out here. Make a podcast.
Easy.
And I'm
just hit play. Just hit record.
And I'm like,
upload it.
Facts though, trying to just get it from this stupid phone to any other freaking device. It's like, over the amount. Nope. Psych. Nope. Did this wrong. Oh, screen share. Couldn't do it. You need an update. Oh, this.
Hey, maybe we're dinosaurs.
We're ancient.
That's the struggle.
So when we do finally get it figured out, we'll set y'all up with an SOP. I guess that's called a YouTube tutorial, but it's also an SOP.
That's right. POS. I mean, POS turned it into an SOP.
Anyways, so we were driving earlier, and Yo, you asked me.
I asked you what's going on this weekend.
And you said, what do you want to talk about?
What do you want to talk about?
And I was like,
what are we going to do?
I said, the news is shit. And I said, I'm anxious as hell. Like, I just got, like, the anxieties. And then you weren't feeling too. You were moody.
I was moody. I was definitely a little...
you said you're menstruating.
Grouchy. I was definitely kind of menstruating.
So then I was like, dude, like, maybe we're addicted to stress. And because we've had shit news...
Yeah.
We're not getting our fix.
Not getting that
little juice.
Right.
That little, like...
that cortisol adrenaline rush.
You know?
That's right.
So then you looked up stress addiction.
Well, it made me curious. I was like, dude, there's got to be something to it.
Mm-hmm.
And studies have shown that apparently there is a link between stress addiction and also needing more of it. Obviously, because you're addicted, but... finding it in the news, finding it in daily life, and they recommended cognitive behavioral therapy, which is great. There's tons of books on it. I'm sure there's life coaches that could recommend actual therapists.
If you need a life coach, we know one, or we can link you.
And it's a thing. And I think Americans are very much addicted to the rush because a lot of us carry anxiety. A lot of us just have anxiety.
It's also feeding the anxiety.
It's true.
Not to mention the coffee doesn't help.
It's true.
My God.
It's true. Let's look at some dates.
Okay.
Because you have some dates written down.
I do have some dates. So, to back up my point, I was like, I feel like these are not that long ago. Like, they feel, like, when I mentioned these things to Yo, when we first started, I started writing down things, and he's like, who cares? Those are so old.
Right.
You're like, nobody cares. That's old news.
Right.
Well, come to find this old news... some of it is literally like 30 days old. In the world of news, that's really not that old. Like if this was 6 months ago, 8 months ago, I'd be like, yeah, you're right.
Sure.
30 days old, and you're like, old news. That's a problem because we're like, yeah, give me that good stuff. Give me that new stress. Like, let me know that fresh anxiety.
That's right.
So we went back and looked at the Olympics. Like, Belle. So the Olympics, there was like this whole controversial, like, is it the LGBTQ plus community decided to do like a, you know how to say his name better than I do, the Greek god,
Dionysus.
Dionysus.
Apparently that was who they were trying to resemble during this introductory celebration show.
The Christians think it's Jesus, they think it's the Last Supper.
Right.
They think the white horse, the death.
Right.
Either which way, Dionysus is not a great guy, regardless, in Greek mythology.
And if you think he's just the god of wine, read the story. because there's way more to
Actually,
it than that.
you can watch on Freevee. There is a free Greek mythology like podcast, and there's a whole episode just on him alone.
Right.
The guy-
Meat and potatoes of it is he was Zeus's boy. Ripped and protected from a womb of a dying lover, essentially.
He cheated.
He made Dionysus a part of him because he's like, you gonna live with me. We gonna be boys forever.
It's his son who he's like, it's his pride and joy.
And
Even though his other kids were more like, probably like holy righteous.
Dionysus goes from town to town, essentially creating
Double shot of
drunken
whiskey.
orgies.
Yeah.
And all the women were like,
Oh my
God! I love this guy. And Zeus was probably like, freaking high C.
Well, Zeus.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the thing is, Zeus is a total pig. Like, he's the god of gods, but he's a hoe. Like, he marries the goddess of marriage.
Right.
And then cheats on her all the
I
time.
love
like,
how he
why do you
decides
even-
he's going to get married
Okay, we're on a
once.
tangent.
Okay,
Okay,
all
we're
right.
gonna wait
We've
tangent.
gotten into this a little
Anyways,
too far.
so the Olympics happened July 26th. It is now Labor Day weekend, Labor Day. So that's
Well, it's September 2nd, so you're looking at
a month and
almost a month.
yeah. So then I was like, okay, well, the next big thing I can think of is like Trump's assassination attempt.
Right.
That was all chaotic. Like, did they fuck up? Was it real? Like, liberals are like, oh, it's not even real. It's all staged. Okay, he's got a scar and everything. I guess he's putting that on every day as makeup. Like, that must be a fun whole charade.
We're neither here nor there.
Either way, it was all controversial. Well, that happened July 13th. So between the 13th and 26th, that was only 1 week.
So now we're 3 weeks, right? We got
So now we're 3
our
weeks.
one hit.
Well, actually, that's 3 weeks. No. So actually, I'm doing
Okay.
this out of order. So if we should do this in order,
You're fine.
we'll put it in order after.
We'll just
I
keep
just
going.
did it in the order I remembered them. The next one was Kamala Harris being put in and Biden stepping down, and she announcing her presidency running.
Mhm.
Mind you, they didn't vote her in. She didn't get it nominated. They just swapped it in.
Right.
But this was July 21st. That was a big thing too. So then after that, the other one I wrote down was the stock market crash. Oh, it didn't crash, it recovered. Well, in one day, it shit its pants. There was one day that it shit its pants.
And
it
then,
got
well,
recovered.
Friday was bad, and then the following Monday was bad.
Regardless, when's the
Tuesday was
last
good.
time it just... I mean, some of those things were down like 20%
It was bad.
for a few hours.
For a few days.
Yeah.
Regardless.
Regardless. So what
Yeah.
ended up happening, that day was chaotic is my
Right.
point. Because it's not about the outcome, it's like the news
Right.
and the like fix of that anxiety and stress. So if you look at this in chronological order, August 1st is the most recent, which is the stock market fiasco.
Mm-hmm.
That's like 30 days.
Right.
And then if you go to, from there, July 26th,
She's
you're
loud.
yelling. What do you want, child?
She wants to say hi.
You're involved.
All right.
These are your days.
What else we got?
So from August 1st to the 26th, that's 1 week.
Mm-hmm.
Then you got the 26th to the 21st, that's a week. Then you get the 21st to the 13th, that's a week. So it's like for the month of July, basically, every week we were getting hit with some sort of chaos.
Right.
Then for some reason, the whole month of August, it was like nothing.
Right.
And it's like, at this point, we're all so conditioned that it's like, what's going on?
Right.
When's the shoe going to drop? That you're like on edge.
Right.
And I feel like it's like some sort of manipulation because I'm like, I mean, I guess the Olympics, is it just random? The Trump shooting was random. The Kamala date, I don't know if it's random or is it coincidental?
Mm-hmm.
It just feels intentional.
Right. I mean, there's probably other news maybe we're not hitting on, but I feel like it's been a minute since we've hit some...
Which makes me think it's been a month, so like, does that mean this month, every week, we're going to get our fix?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just bizarre.
Mm-hmm.
And so, in terms of that, do you remember ways to zen out? I mean,
cognitive, from the book I read on cognitive behavior therapy, which was one of the points. It was the first one. So I
to
just
help
thought,
work with stress.
there's things where you try to identify things that you can control and can't control. Also, it's more...
So maybe like your home settings,
Yeah.
keeping things tidy and
all
organized.
kinds of things like that. Also, who do you have in your life? Like
Who
the
you
types
talk
of
to?
people that are in your life, do they add stress to you or are they taking stress away? How are your friends?
Your family.
Do you have a community? Do you have at least one person that you can talk to? And then, so like trying to identify those kinds of things, your setting, you mentioned your household or whatever. Those are things that
yoga,
you can control.
I know yoga and meditation is one of the things they
yoga,
recommend.
meditation,
maybe
exercise.
Don't call it yoga because personally, when I first started, I think that was really intimidating. How about just call it stretching? We all know about stretching. Just throw your legs out and just try to touch your toes. Just that alone, you're going to realize how bad the situation is and go, wow, I really need a stretch. Because we all do.
Another part of the therapy was talking about internal dialogue versus reactionary, just reacting to situations. Everybody that, feels like they need this may react in different ways. Like some people verbally just go out. Some people will distance themselves because they'll recluse. So instead of immediately reacting to those stressful scenarios, you take a step back and you try to identify A, what's triggering you, and then B, how you can constructively respond to the situation.
Okay, so in terms of stressful news, if you don't want to put your head in the sand and not be informed, how do you think we should handle it if you don't want to be I'm just going to cut it out altogether? Because there's other people who are just not going to do that because they want to know what's going on.
I think probably perspective is a big thing, right? This is a lot of this is either global news or it's national news. So you live in one state or maybe two. Of that, you live in one town. So also you are one citizen within that town. I'm not going to say you don't matter because everybody matters, but also these are big things and we all live very simple lives. So trying to just zoom out from all of that and being okay, how much is this directly going to impact my life? Probably not an insane amount. So
okay, well, let's look at it. So the Olympics,
right?
How could that have impacted somebody's life? Well, if you're part of the LGBT community, maybe they feel like it's making it more inclusive.
Right.
If you're conservative or a Christian, how does it impact your life?
Right.
Maybe you're afraid that your religion is going to become a mockery.
Yeah. If you're very Christian, you're this kind of looks like some rendition of the Last Supper that
how do the Greeks
I don't
feel?
necessarily agree with. The Greeks might have been we don't really know how this all plays in. I mean, wasn't he all blue? That looked very Krishna-like.
It did look Krishna, yeah.
So if I was in the Olympics
and actually the
India,
Egyptians have some blue gods too, I believe.
I don't know enough about that, but
pretty sure.
So probably it could impact you politically, religiously, socially. I don't know.
And then how do you, in your own life, it's okay, yeah, that's the case, but directly, has it impacted your family?
I mean, for me, I'd be this is just one event, and this is also just an introductory by one group of people.
Well, here's the thing, but if you keep doing that, does that one group get more say or push than you do? If you never do anything about it, are you also then complacent in just allowing, kind of like a doormat situation, right?
Would that, if you believed in Christianity and you were a huge fan of the Last Supper and everything that it meant with the apostles and things like that, would you feel like an event like that could sway your religion or is hurting your religion?
I don't feel like it could sway it, but I feel like a huge part of free speech is you're not supposed to silence anybody else in doing so, and you're not supposed to harm people. And it's again, one of my favorite quotes is Ray Dalio's be reasonable and expect others to be reasonable. If you don't want Christians to go out and push their religious agenda, in a lot of ways, any type of the LGBT woke community being hypersexualized in that way is similar to a religious agenda because it's very exposed versus very prude. There are two sides of opposite coins, or two sides of the same coin, sorry. But it's yours is no better and neither is yours. But at the same time, if they don't get to say anything, why did they get to behave this way?
Right.
I see both sides. It's how about we just be respectful? If you wanted to do this, you could have put the person in an all blue suit, a blue shirt and blue pants. You didn't have to have the man be basically naked. Families go to this.
I mean, this guy seems like a very loosey-goosey kind of guy. He put himself out there. He loves it. He's very open with his sexuality.
And I don't mean to just get too far on this. I mean, we could talk about the Trump thing too. How does that impact you? Well, I mean, was it an inside job? You wonder then at that point, like, where is the safety? Like, it's like, if Trump's not safe, or any of, like, not that, like, we like, I'm not saying we don't matter, but, like, we're not important enough to matter, but it's like, you know, I feel like a president should have some of the highest security. So if that doesn't, it's like, where does that leave our country in, like, the status of, like, our vulnerability? Like, even if you don't like the guy, any past president, any, like, I would be baffled if Taylor Swift is on stage and got fucking shot at, because the security there is probably so good. So if Biden or Trump or any of them were on stage and got shot at, like, it's baffling to me, and it's really embarrassing on America as a country. Not, like, politically, it just makes us look really weak to other countries.
Well, I think one of the last points that, or mid points or whatever, was I don't feel like anybody should be silenced, and I certainly don't think anything like that just happened is normal or should just be overlooked. And I think the point was, like, find a community, find your people to talk to about it, like, establish your own community normalities by talking about what's going on.
Well, and I think that's why we wanted to do this channel, and I think we're also talking about these topics because we kind of missed it. We were trying and couldn't freaking figure this thing out. Not that we still figured it out.
It's getting there.
This is like beta testing.
Yeah, we're beta testing it.
And most of these things, do they impact me personally? No. And I think I can, like, try to, like, horse blinds and focus on my own life, and that can help calm it down. But also doing that too much puts you in, like, the ostrich where you got your head in the sand. So it's like you kind of have to have a balancing act between...
You don't want to be the ostrich running in the freeway, and you also don't want to be the ostrich with your head in the ground.
Exactly.
Okay?
I've never seen an ostrich running in the freeway, but...
Ideally, the ostrich is just in the prairie somewhere. Just hanging out.
Well, you yelling and now you're yelling. Like, can you just hang tight? Hopefully, we will figure this out, give you an SOP, and have some stressful, nice, non-stressful news for you next time. All right.
Until then.
Bye, guys.